make a start. Oh yes, thank you. Does everyone click their continue button then?
Yeah, American.
Okay. We're going to kick off with the election of a chair, so I'll hand over to the town clerk. You're on mute, Louise.
Thank you. Do we have any nominations for the chair?
I'd nominate Eddie.
Councillor Saunders, your hand was actually up first.
Yeah, well, I was going to nominate Eddie as well, so I'm happy to nominate or second him.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
May
Chris?
I nominate, but I can't vote. I realise, continue for sake of continuity. The Eddie carries on. Is my wish.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm assuming there's no other nominations, so there you are. Councillor Thomas, you are chair.
Thank you. So, and now the election of the vice chair. So I'm calling for nominations for the vice chair. Well, I'm going to nominate Councillor Saunders, Julian, myself. Can I have a seconder? Oh, yeah, I've got Alison seconding, are you? And Chris seconding. So that sounds like we've got a vice chair. Are you okay with that, Julian, by the way? I should ask you first.
Well, I will carry on, but I was going to say if there was anyone else who wanted to be the vice chair, I wouldn't stand in their way. But if there aren't other nominations, I will carry on.
Right.
Lovely. Thank you all. Any right, on to apologies for absence, please.
I've had apologies from Mike Knowles and Councillor Hook as well.
Lovely, thank you. Okay. Declarations of interest. Has anyone got any declarations of interest that they would like to make?
Oh, sorry,
Eddie,
I should also...
Sorry.
Could I just add that Sarah Jane has just emailed me saying that she's on her way home to try and log on because work had changed everything around, so she may not be able to attend. But.
Okay.
And also, sorry, I had apologies from Councillor Perkin as well.
Thank you.
Can I I think it's a non-pecuniary interest. I think we're going to discuss the town signs, aren't we? And it relates to our the town's relationship with Hazebrouck. So can I just declare that I'm the vice chair of the Faversham Town Twinning Association.
Thank you. Town Clerk, just to cover, do we need to restate our desire to have Mr. Oswald Jones on the working group as its title's changed?
I suppose that would be useful to do.
I'm going to propose that we request that Mr. Oswald Jones remains on the working group.
Definitely.
You up with that, Chris? Thank you very much.
Yes, may I also declare, although I can't vote, I think I should still mention that I am a member of the Town Twinning Committee.
Lovely, thank you.
Right.
Association.
Yeah.
I would also like to state that if there is a member of the public who feels as though they've got something that they can contribute to this working group, will they please contact the town clerk, who has the appropriate documentation that needs to be completed, and the information that the chair and vice chair will be looking for is people who can help with the work of this working group, i.e. with their professional or their activity volunteering around the town. Thank you. Terms of reference. I'm proposing we continue with the same terms of reference unless anyone has got anything that needs changing. Obviously, on the terms of reference, simply the name of this group, or the new name of this group, will be on there. Louise, Town Clerk.
We haven't done the minutes yet.
No,
Chair.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Good point there. Good point. Okay, so looking at the minutes of the what was the last meeting of the Public Spaces Committee on Thursday, the 25th of March. We had the duck feed dispenser. Has there been any news on that? Did the Westbrook Stream Association decide they wanted to progress with that? Anyone know?
No.
I haven't received any further information. I have been tagged a couple of times on Facebook by David, who presented here, on items when people have been discussing things about Stonebridge Pond and the need for the right food being given. I think there's still a debate over the bread on no bread.
Right, okay. We'll wait to be contacted by the Friends of the Westbrook Stream in that case. Planters, we're going to be talking about, Mr. Oswald-Jones, yeah, Chris.
Just to mention matters arising, we were talking about that later. I have observed in the number 12 marketplace what looked like the planters, just passing comment.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to ask Adam Andrews to give us an update on the planters.
So the planters arrived. They're going to be installed tomorrow from, I think they're collecting them from Marketplace at about 8. They're going to put them on site and fill them with the required amount of compost. And anything that's left out of the ton bag they've got, they're going to load up the planters within Central Car Park.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, and then obviously we're discussing it with Chris. We're going to arrange to get them planted over the weekend, and then obviously try and do an open ceremony with the fire authority. But that'll be a date next week, not tomorrow. I'm waiting for an email. So Chris can probably tell you more regarding the planting and that.
I'll go to Chris Oswald-Jones first because his hand was up first. Come on, Chris. Oh, your mic's off, Chris. Your mic's off. Microphone.
That's better. Yeah. Sorry about that. Have we actually decided? Is it minuted? Have we decided the 4 sites? I know it's up for discussion.
They were. Alan Blackburn was involved with that, so he approved the 4 sites, and then a slight adjustment was made to them. Did you see the photographs in these?
With the blue squares, yes. I've noticed one by the town council's notices Black Cabinet Back Lane.
That's right.
A square there.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, other than again, don't want people watering it with their cigarette butts.
No. Anyway, I'll bring in Captain Williams.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Adam said, yeah, it's the planters will be put in with the compost. The plants I'm picking up on Sunday from Richard of Richard's Plants Off the Market. Sorry, I don't know what's going on my computer. The intention to do a planting session on Sunday with some volunteers who've expressed interest in getting involved, with the hope then to sort of have them completed so they can be photographed, etc., and seen next week. I think with, as Adam mentioned, it because there was more compost than we needed in the 4 planters, there was enough to top up the 3 tree pits of tree planters along the pavement of Central Car Park, which the car park team at Swell have approved as something they think it will be a good thing to do, and we think that's a good use of that excess compost. Again, volunteers are interested in planting that up as well, so there should be quite a nice kind of entrance to the town through the back of the town hall. So hopefully that looked really good.
Thank you, Chris. You want to come back in again there, Chris Oswald-Jones? Your mic's off again. Can't hear you, Chris. Can't hear you.
Thank you. Sorry about that again. I keep moving from hand to mute. Commemorated bench, moving on from planters. Are you okay with that, Chair?
In a moment, yes.
Matters, or you're still on planter?
Still on the planters at the moment.
Oh, right. I'll keep quiet for a minute.
Okay, okay. Right. So what are we talking about? The signs. I'm not going to talk about right now because we've got a whole section on that in a moment. So we're moving on to the commemorative bench, where I'm going to ask Councillor, the Mayor, Alison Reynolds, to speak on that.
Right, we did. I think the town clerk, the owners of the land were contacted, but weren't keen for that to happen. So we have had a meeting with Bank Street Surgeries there, and there's a location at the bottom of the slope that's been selected, and I think that's where the bench is there. The day we know, 5th of July. I think that's pretty much sorted now. I don't know, Adam, you know, you're doing the work, I think, that's needed to put it in place.
Yeah, I'll fit it on the 4th, Sunday the 4th, because it is a very heavy bench. So
Yes.
I'm going to get my son to assist me to move it into position, fix it, and then we'll wrap it. And I'll put some barriers around it, which I'll take off unveiling on the Monday.
Thank you. And then on the day, the 5th, at 11 o'clock, we will have an unveiling, which I think the town clerk's got organised.
So thank you, Councillor Reynolds. Louise, town clerk, come in, please.
Yes, just to confirm, it's all going ahead, and we're sending out invites this week to NHS staff and also key workers. But also good news is that the medical centre, the blue railings, they're going to be repainted. So that's going to really brighten up the area, because the benches are bright blue and the railings are looking pretty faded at the moment. So should be good, should look nice in that area.
Yeah, lovely.
Excellent, looking forward to that.
Mm.
Okay, on minute 105, the front rent fund, I'm just going to ask, is there an update on that? Is it progressing okay? Councillor Williams?
Thank you. The town clerk and I had a meeting with the Environment Agency some weeks ago now, to express our concerns that we raised before, that we don't want to be obstructive, obviously, to the Environment Agency in doing their vital work, but we were concerned about the use of chemicals on there. We came to a sort of satisfactory kind of agreement that we would give them the permission to do what they need to do, and they assured us that they're only going to use one-off application of weed killer just to remove certain targeted invasive plants that they think that might damage the bund itself, and then moving on from that, they're just periodically sort of strim it. So I think the use of chemicals, although still they're still using it, is very, very minimal. And I think in order to protect the properties that are obviously the other side, it's quite important that they do what they need to do. So they're not going to do anything on the green on the other side of it. That's still between the town council and Swellborough council. So as far as I'm aware, that's quite a satisfactory conclusion. I don't know if the town clerk, if I've missed anything, but that was as far as I understand.
No, I think you got that right, Councillor Williams, and they've confirmed and they've sent a notice of intended entry, and that's going on or after the 17th of May.
Okay.
I don't think it's been done yet.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to propose then that we accept the minutes from the last meeting. Can I have a seconder on that, please? Thank you, Councillor Reynolds. And can we all agree that accepting the minutes? Good. Can we do that with it's all new ground with these working groups, Louise? Is that the standard procedure, or how does that work?
Yes, you can agree the minutes. You just can't make any decisions. You can only make recommendations, which will go to full council for decision.
So we're basically recommending that full council accepts the minutes.
More or less, yes.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item was the terms of reference. In my view, I don't see any particular change to the terms of reference other than the name of this group. Would I be right there, Town Clerk?
It might be just as well, just to confirm that despite the fact that we're a working group, that it is open to the public, and that any members that think they have something to offer may be considered for co-option. So
I'm asking the group then to agree with that recommendation just read out by the Town Clerk. Are we happy to put that forward to the Town Council?
Certainly.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so the town entry signs. Now, what I would like to say here is Adam Andrews and Claire Windridge have done a lot of work on putting together ideas on how this might move forward. I'm going to put forward what I suggest, and then we can have a talk about that. The first thing that cropped up was duplicating the Town Crest onto a flat sign. It would probably not look very good. So my suggestion is that we go ahead and refurbish the existing cast iron signs, and that is the middle section only, not the top bit that says Twin, and not the bottom bit, but just the central big piece. And Adam did provide a quote there, and I think it was an estimate from a couple of years ago. So I've rounded up to about 900. If we do decide to go ahead with that, Adam can get it precise, but I think it's going to be around about £900. Do you agree with that, Adam?
I think it won't be any dearer because obviously you're only doing the middle section.
Yeah, just
I think the quote was for all of the sections. So obviously I think it won't be much more expensive than that. And that was using Clive Sherwood. The only negative was that he wanted all four signs delivered to him, which is not a problem for me. And then there'd be obviously no town signs until the duration of the works.
Sure. And how long roughly did you think it'll be to take?
He didn't give me a time scale. Again, I'd find that out. It'd probably be a week at least, I should think, because it's all acrylic paint. It's a drying time, isn't it?
No, that would be quick. It was a week, so that would
yeah, week. Yeah, I'll have to confirm with him. So.
Yeah, Chris Oswald-Jones.
Thank you, Eddie. I found the unmute button next to the chat. Raise hand one. That's handy. Yes, I would support if we go with that option. Other than the expensive one with the sink ports, which you'll come to later. If we go to that option, presumably that was removing the top and tail, refurbishing the centre, and then a discussion we need to have on to what top and tail to substitute. But I just wanted to make the point that removal of the signs, either all four together or one by one, to Clive Sherwood's premises, saves him having to work on the roadside. And also paint drying and all the rest. It sounds much more practical.
Definitely. And I think I'd also ask whoever removes them, Adam, to check the soundness of the posts that they're mounted on. Obviously, we don't want someone running off with the signs once they've been resecured to the post. So we want to make sure the posts are actually sound before they go back on again. Councillor Saunders.
Sorry, it's just a question. I haven't perhaps read the paperwork as closely as I should. Refurbishment, are we basically just talking about repainting of the signs, or is there other elements to it?
Definitely, there are other elements. So my suggestion is that we refurbish the centre bit and have a new top to the sign and a new tail to the sign. So there was a PDF that is attached to these, and what that would mean, there would be a Dibond, and Dibond is the same material that road signs are made of. And at the top, the suggestion is it would read welcome, and at the bottom it would read twinned with Hazebrouck since 1961. Initially, when Claire showed them to me, they looked a little bit bland. So I thought back to what Claire had done for the Climate and Biodiversity group and suggested she put the bee artwork around the welcome and the twinned with Hazebrouck. Personally, I think it looks very good. I don't know what any other group members feel about that. Chris Oswald-Jones?
Well, if you're going to look at the three options of the bees, are you ready for that? I have an opinion to put to you, but I can't vote. You've also got the entirely separate topic of a different sign with the corporate member of Syncports incorporated into, I think, a single sign. I think that's right. I guess that's, I haven't really understood. I think that's really expensive, so we may or may not be going into that discussion. But the three options with the bees, you've got bees at the top, bees at the bottom, or bees top and bottom. And my vote would be bees at the bottom. The grass at the bottom of the sign is the logical place, rather than having grass and stuff at the top of the sign. I think the one with the two top and bottom is over cluttering it. Okay. So I'd go for the bees at the bottom.
Thank you, Chris. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. No surprise, I do like the bees, but I sort of, I mean, initially I thought at the top, look, I can understand what Chris Oswald-Jones is saying about the grass being at the bottom does make logical sense. I did quite like the fact it was at the top, just because it's sort of like quite a nice welcoming thing, because it also sort of suggests that you're coming into a town that's kind of, you know, we're moving on with various sort of, and it's quite, you know, a green town. I personally, my personal thing would probably be to have them on both, just because I think it's quite colourful. But I do understand it could look a bit over the top. But that was my personal preference, is to have. I like by the way, I like the whole concept of the whole sign, the two tops and tails, the welcome, and the you know, with twinned with Hazebrouck. I think it's really good. I think the refurbish would be really great entrance to the town. So thank you for all your work on that. So yeah, my personal preference would be bees on top and bottom.
Have you, Councillor Saunders, have you found the drawings?
Yeah, I'm looking at the various things. I did look at them before, but there's a whole number of things. I'm possibly a dissenter here. Although this kind of came up really in order to kind of recognise the 60th anniversary of the twinning with Hazebrouck. I think the current signs have got quite a lot of character, and I like their cast ironness. So I think if it was just me, I would probably stick with the main, you know, the middle sign and refurbish it as we're proposing. I think I would probably retain the top sign, and then I would look at changing the bottom sign. So that's my personal view, but I'm quite relaxed if I'm in the minority in relation to this. I mean, I think it would be nice to recognise the 60th anniversary, but I think at the same time, you know, it's great that the sign does recognise our link with Hazebrouck anyway. So yeah, that's my view, and I'm kind of quite open about what's on the bottom sign, whether it's a welcome or whether it is specific reference to the 60th anniversary. Presumably the bottom sign could be quite easily changed to recognise particular events that were happening anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Chris, did you want to come back in again? Oh, you need to get in the habit of switching your microphone on.
Right, that. Does anyone else want to come in before I come back on a suggestion?
Yeah, I'm quite.
Go ahead, Chris.
Right. Proposal for your members to consider is, if you go ahead with the Clive Sherwood idea of refurbishment of the centre bit, let him get on with that and defer the decision on top tailing or not to give your members a little bit more time to think this one through. How about that?
Thank you, Chris. Councillor Reynolds, did you have any further comments? Well, I think Councillor Reynolds, you still there?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm just reading something. Yes, I mean, maybe we should defer a little while longer. I think you're right. Hazebrouck since 1961. I don't think we can put the 60th, because by next year it'll be 61 years. So, yeah, I think maybe we need to think a little bit longer. Can we do that?
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion. I mean, we're only putting forward recommendations here.
Right.
By the sound of it, this group has a consensus that we feel as though the cast iron bit should be refurbished.
Yes, definitely.
So that could go forward to the next town council, that we feel as though that is an appropriate amount of money to have the cast iron pieces refurbished. I then think we should put to the town council the options of whether we do something to commemorate the 60th anniversary. I do empathise with Councillor Saunders with that cast iron sign at the top. But if we are going to commemorate the twinning, then I just feel as though that cast iron sign needs to be, I don't know, given to the Fellowship Society or someone who wants to look after those sorts of signs in a short period of time. I would like to put to the town council along with our minutes. So the recommendation is that we refurbish the centrepiece, and that we're going to give the town. Can we give the town council a couple of options, Louise?
Yeah, I would.
So the option would be to simply have the the twinned with Hazebrouck sign made and put either on the top or the bottom, whichever we feel is appropriate. Or second option would be to go for the topping and tailing. And to make it really complicated, the third option would be simply to refurbish the existing twinned with Hazebrouck cast iron sign. So we're presenting three options to them. One, just to replace the cast iron twinned with Hazebrouck with a new Dibond twinned with Hazebrouck since 1961 sign. Second option is to top and tail the cast iron sign, and the fourth option will be just to refurbish the cast iron twinned with Hazebrouck sign. You okay with that, Louise?
It's a long choice.
Yes, I think so. Just to confirm, the top and tail, I'm assuming that's the option with the bees.
Well, personally, I mean, we could have a short debate. I really don't want this dragging on at town council, but I'm easy either way, bees or not. I definitely like the bees around the Hazebrouck. Oh yeah, Councillor Williams.
The only other option, not to complicate matters at all, is that with the fact that Faversham was awarded Neighbourhood with the Best Buzz, and there's a potential in the future of it becoming a wilder town, it may be that we could look to do something more specific around in the welcome entrances to the town around those sorts of things in the future. So if it's going to cause a lot of debate and confusion and people not sure whether they want bees or not, you know, we could. I like them, by the way. I mean, I'm not sort of going back on what I said, but I'm just thinking if that causes complication, whether we look to do something more specific around the welcoming of the town, saying, you know, we are, you know, we're recognised for these purposes. I don't know if that would make it cluttered or whether or what, but that's just another idea, is whether we, you know, do that, talk about that in the future if we get those kind of recognised statuses. So
that sort of links in with I think the first option, which was just to put up a sign saying, a new sign saying, twinned with Hazebrouck since 1961 with a buzz on it, and not not to bother with the top bit at the moment and put that in later. Is that what you're suggesting, Councillor Williams?
Yeah, possibly, or I think I was thinking more of a sort of a. I need to probably go and have a look at the signs and actually see how it would look. But in sense of actually sort of, yeah, maybe a welcome sign, so welcome to a wilder town or something similar. Do you see what I mean? You know, so that we're kind of, you know, we've got these kind of, we're getting these recognised statuses as a town, but there's nothing to say that we've got those. And I think when people come into the town, it's quite good to say, you know, there's been a lot of effort to get to that point, and probably on one sign it might be a bit too much. But whether then you look to have a separate sign somewhere else in the entrance to the town, or I don't know. Maybe I'm probably complicating this situation much more than I need to. Maybe I need to come back with an idea at some point in the future. But yeah, so I think maybe your recommendations, Chair, is probably the way forward for Town Council, and then at least get the general consensus.
Adam.
Only just to reiterate what Chris has said, really. But looking at the signage, to take the sign down, it might be cost effective just to take the sign down and get the twinned, and we'll get both bits of cast done. And then because Claire can do the Dibond very quickly, we can add, it could be something that we could do on a regular basis, as Chris is saying. If we get awards, we can put maybe one at the top, one at the bottom, but it keeps the cast as the cast. As long as we don't change that, then it will just be the decoration of it, won't it? And the Dibond is not expensive at all. So we can change that monthly if you wanted to. But obviously, I think, in my opinion, as Julian said, we need to keep the cast, get that back up to perfect quality if we can, and then add the Dibond signage at bottom top at a later date with agreement on words. Only a suggestion, though.
Okay. Chris Jones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Try again. Councillor Williams actually raised, mentioned something that's triggered me off now. We've got gateways on the 20s scheme, planters and that, as gateways. When you come in on the 251 towards Faversham, with the new developments going on, Perry Court and all that, there is no obvious gateway as you come along the 251 where that welcome sign is. So the question for a future agenda is the 4 signs areas proposal that we consider raising gateways, a significant entry into the Faversham area in parallel with these signs. The one on the Graveney Road, by the way, is well into the 30 limit. The parish boundary is up near the 30 limit. So that again is things that need to be considered at a future date, perhaps, as a proposal.
I think that's a good point. So I think we are asking the Town Council to approve the refurbishment of the section of the cast iron sign that has the crest mounted on it and states that Faversham's a member of the Cinque Ports. And then and that's the main thing we want the Town Council to agree on, but we're going to also ask whether or not now's the time to get Dibonds made just saying twinned with Hazebrouck since 1961 or not. And Councillor Williams has suggested, and Chris Jones has just suggested, having some of the they normally look at like that white fence at the town or the parish boundaries to the town, or something to that effect anyway, where we could have the welcome to Faversham sign. Something to think about without overcrowding it. But anyway, really what today was about was putting forward something for the Town Council in a couple of weeks. Yeah, Councillor Saunders.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to extend the debate either. Are we going? I'm not clear. Are we going to get the little twin with Hazebrouck signs refurbished as well, or are we?
What's that? Sorry, Julian.
Are they potentially on some of these proposals disappearing, because I think I personally feel they should be refurbished while we're getting the rest of the work, the rest of the refurbishment done.
Adam, was that price just for the Crest section, or was it for the whole lot?
The original price from Clive, which is 2 years old, was for the whole lot. So the twin,
right.
both
Okay.
parts. That's what I'm thinking. It'd be best to just if we want to keep with the cast, then I would personally get, as Julian says, get the 4 signs fully refurbished, and then look at adding Dibond around the sign at a later date. Obviously, depending on how quick Clive can do it. Then that way, and that's because of Dibond, it's very non-expensive, so we can do that quite regularly if you wanted to.
I mean, we can just do that. We're just not going to get anywhere with marking the 60th anniversary.
No.
I'm happy with that. If other people are, I can't see if we're going to keep the twin with Hazebrouck in cast iron. If we're keeping that, then there's no. I can't see an easy way of marking the 60th anniversary, but that's not a problem in my book.
No, I don't think so.
So we're going to propose to the Town Council that we would like that both of the cast iron elements are refurbished, and we're going to put on hold any Dibond signs until we've made a future decision. Sorry, Town Clerk, we're changing our mind there.
Yep, I think
So
we're
we're
there.
simplifying the recommendation to
Thank you.
simply refurbishing the existing cast iron signs, making sure the structures are all sound, removing the one that goes on about in bloom from some date back, because that's out of date. So removing any existing Dibond signs and only reinstating refurbished cast iron signs. Is everyone happy with that recommendation? Yeah, Councillor Saunders.
Yeah, I am happy with the recommendation. Just to clarify though, because I think the crux of this is, although there was an interest in having twin with Hazebrouck since 1961, having new cast iron, from my reading of the paperwork, was going to be extremely expensive, and that's basically the reason that we're not carrying forward. And I think people like the Town Twinning Association will accept that, but will probably appreciate that we have looked at it. And there are other ways that we can recognise the anniversary, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone can think of a good way to add since 1961 or something, then great. But personally, I can't see it. I know Claire worked very hard at that. So we'll stick to our recommendation of simply refurbishing the existing cast iron signs. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
Well discussed. I like that.
Got to. Yeah.
Okay. So unfortunately, we haven't got Sarah here at the moment. I did want to go through the item 8 work in progress. Adam, do you want to just briefly explain to the working group what Sarah had asked you to do with regard to the Highways Improvement Plan?
Yeah, so basically I spoke to Sarah, who's KCC, and she looked at over our hip, which was very good, but she said it was too complicated, as in because we had Town Council plus SWAL plus KCC works. So she just wanted us to create another hip just purely for KCC, which Chris Eddie has sent out, I believe. And so that way she can then look at it with our choices of what we want particularly, and she hopes to be able to facilitate what we want, definitely 1 or 2 of the projects every year, hopefully, depending on budgets. So that was all she was, just not to confuse the matter with SWAL and Town Council. Anything we want KCC to do on a separate hip, following their guidelines. And a lot of the main crux of it is the research that we put in for the works that need to be carried out. The more we can do to assist her, it makes their decision a lot easier. Is that okay, Eddie?
Lovely. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to run through, because in conjunction with Adam, I also helped break down the what was our old Highways Improvement Plan into 3 documents, which I personally felt was easier to read. So it'll be interesting to know how you feel about that. We've got what Adam just stated is the KCC Highways Improvement Plan, i.e. work that we would like KCC to do. We still have which is basically our action plan. I would describe it as an action plan. I've also now titled it the town-wide desirable improvements, for sake of a better word, i.e. the things as this group put forward that we'd like done that are not on the highways improvement plan for KCC, or they're not on the potential town centre improvements that we sent through to Swale Borough Council. So that's how it has been broken down. Hopefully that does make sense, and hopefully it's easier to read. For those of you who have had a good chance to look through it, have you got any questions on what are on those reports? And if you haven't now, you can always make a note for next time. Yes, Chris Ottle-Jones. Chris, Mike.
Apologies. It's an observation which links in with the KCC part of action plan. It's KCC is responsible for the double yellows corner protection, and this comes up to the discussion can come up for your later agenda item on colour, double yellows and so on. But an observation that item 1 on this single sheet, which I've added my name, the name KCC Highway Improvement Plan Action Plan. This is the white sheet 1 to 11. Is that right?
One. Yeah.
Item 1, Stonebridge Ponds, West Street. This is something that Julian and Carol, Councillor Jackson have been working on. It's now with Sarah Elcock. In amongst that, separately to the our wishes, KCC are going around replenishing corner protection, double yellows, and again, corner of Stonebridge, they've replenished with the orangey colour. So I just mentioned that in passing, relevant to item 1, or in parallel to item 1.
Okay, yeah, Councillor Saunders.
Sorry, in relation to Stonebridge, I suppose there are two elements here. At the Joint Transportation Board, it was agreed after there'd been a local consultation to make some changes to the yellow lines there, Chris. So Mike Knowles at Swale is in the process of sorting that out. So I think the line, if there's been new lining in the last few days, that would relate to that. There's due to be, after a local consultation, there's due to be more significant works down by the Westbrook, which will be narrowing the road and making it easier to cross. And KCC has got the funding for that, and that I've been assured by Sarah Elcock that will be happening in the next 6 months, although it seems to be taking a bit of time now, predictably. So that's where things are there. So any new yellow lining is a result of the traffic order that went through the JTB. Is this something, or is this something else?
I think, Chris, are you talking about the colour of the yellow line?
I'll just come back. There's 3 elements here. KCC have a responsibility for corner protection, which they decide in their own right, separate from the schemes that Julian and Carol have been looking at with, and now in with Sarah Alcott. A part of that, there's the, it's in the local paper now, notice is hereby given that KCC has made the above order, which includes various bits of Abbey Street and also Dark Hill, and some of the elements that were proposed in the Stonebridge improvement suggestions under item 1. So it's going ahead bit by bit, but the corner around Stonebridge Way itself, KCC naturally under their own safety look at corner protection.
You're talking about double yellow lines, I take it, Chris.
I'm talking about double yellow lines, and yes, this order is also double yellow lines on the western side of Dark Hill and Gordon Square, and eastern side of Dark Hill, existing double yellow lines extending. This is all part, this new traffic order is all part of Julian and Carol and Sarah Alcock's work. So that is progressing bit by bit. That went through the JTB, it's had its consultation, and they've now made the order. And you'll be seeing that more double yellow lines in the Stonebridge area appearing shortly, and Bob Amore Close, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Can I ask Louise, Town Clerk, can you send an email to Alan Blackburn and Mike Knowles asking that they ensure any contractors that are installing any yellow lining within the conservation area, that they use the correct shade of yellow and it's the correct thickness, just as a reminder that this group are urging them to ensure that message is communicated to the contractors, and whoever's writing the order ensures that they've checked their conservation area. I know Mr. Oswald Jones has highlighted a couple of times when the wrong colour, the wrong thickness has been used, so we would appreciate that. Any questions, Louise? Just get back to me. Thank you. Okay, I mean, I feel quite comfortable with these. The Highways Improvement Plan is literally new things. My understanding of Sarah Elcock's role is she deals with new work, whereas Alan Blackburn deals with repairs. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is how it was explained to me. And so the town, what is listed as our Town Council KCC Highways Improvement Plan is literally new things, whereas probably I would say on our Faversham Town Council Townway Desirable Improvements, we may well be listing there things that we want Alan Blackburn to do for us. I think that's probably going to be a good way of phrasing it. I'm still learning myself on how KCC are going to work this. Sorry, Chris Williams, Councillor Williams, come in, please.
Thank you. Firstly, I think that all makes sense, actually, and I think in some ways will make it easier for us if we've got this kind of dedicated list of desirable new projects where we can hopefully see sort of progression, and then we know what we're doing with the other stuff. So it kind of makes sense, because I sometimes get confused with who's responsible for what or what were priorities. So to me, I can visualize that better. Secondly, it's just something to add to a list, which I'm assuming might be KCC Highways. The railings that are at the end of Dorset Place onto Forbes Road by Abel's Acre, they probably could have been repainted, I think, because I was looking there with the Abel's Acre volunteers, because the barrier baskets hopefully will be replaced with planted things this summer, and the paint looks like at some points it's sort of coming away. I know they're white, and I'm assuming that's for visual, because it's a slope, people are coming down the slope onto the road. It's a shame they can't be black, really, to fit in with the railings of the rest of the town. But I think either or, I think they do at some point, they need to be painted, I think. So I don't know if that's worth noting to put on a list. It doesn't seem to be urgent, but it's just something that kind of at some point will need to be done, I think.
I think that's a good idea, Councillor Williams. Louise, can we contact Alan Blackburn and get permission to repaint the railings, and can we paint them in black, or does he insist that they're white? Yes, Chris Oswald Jones.
I'll mute this time. There's history to this. I did email about a year ago that Alan Blackburn, 3 years ago, maybe 4, when the Forbes Road, around the corner of Forbes Road's railings were, the crash barrier was taken out and nice railings went in, all approved. Alan Blackburn made a suggestion that he would like to see the white scaffold pipe railings, galvanized pipe railings painted white, removed, and those a consideration for those to go in, but he didn't have the immediate funding. But that's something on his long-term list around Abel's Acre. That was reviving. I did mention it last year in an email.
Lovely, Chris. Louise, can you ask the question about the repainting of the railings, but also can you ask him if he can share what Chris Oswald Jones is just mentioning, i.e. some proposal to have new railings put in? I'd be interested to see the design of these.
that is all minuted in the what was public realm group minutes a couple of years ago. I'll dig it out and forward you a copy.
Okay, thank you. Chris.
Coming back to the yellow lines that we were on, again, further clarification, if I may, that KCC do the safety corner protection, but any, like the Stonebridge Way Town Council aspirations on local improvements, they go through district, which is where Mike Knowles and therefore the JTB and that sequence goes through. So there's a distinct split there on who does what. Repairs, back to Alan Blackburn.
So I think so we're copying in Mike Knowles and Alan Blackburn in relation to the double yellow line repainting, and then that should cover all our bases. And both gentlemen can share with their colleagues who may also be involved with the repainting of lines within our conservation area. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we're going to ask for permission for repainting the railings. Oh yeah, Councillor Saunders.
It was just a query on the town. Sorry, I'm grappling with so many documents here. Item 24. Can I just clarify? I mean, it's got my name against this. We were looking for details from Swale about where the cameras were and what streets they were covering. Can people remind me what this was in relation to? Was it antisocial behaviour, or was it parking? Or
did you have anything to add on that, Adam?
Yeah, it was both of them reasons, Julian. It was with the gates and people parking, and we wasn't 100% that what actual area the cameras. I know the cameras do move, but what areas they're actually covering. So that if we ever get an incident in a particular area, we know that that camera could, if it was facing that way at that time, be a benefit to the police or to whoever's had an incident.
Well, okay, I'll go back to the relevant Swale officer in relation to that. In general terms, because I've changed my cabinet role, CCTV isn't an area, but I'll go back to Stephanie Curtis and try and get the details.
So we can update one just to say that it's been requested through the Swale Borough Council Officer, Steph Curtis. Okay, I mean, personally, I haven't got any great or things to enter or change on these three documents. Oh, Mr. Oswald-Jones, yes, coming, Chris.
Just a point of clarification. I'm wondering, it's been pointed out to me that some people don't know what corner protection means. When I speak about corner protection and double yellow lines, we're talking about sight lines, double yellows applied by KCC anywhere that they consider sight lines need to be maintained by people not parking around a corner. It's simply that. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 9. I just thought we should consider whether we wanted to start doing walkabouts, not necessarily all of us all the time, although we are quite a small group, so we probably could do all of us, but how do people feel about that, and would they be of value? We can also decide when we do them. We don't have to do them at a fixed time. They can be decided amongst ourselves. Any comments about walkabouts? Are they needed? Have we been doing okay without them? Or would it be useful to go out 2, 3, 4, 5 of us as a group at some point? Yeah, Councillor Williams.
Thank you. I mean, I think we probably wouldn't need to do it too regularly, because I think probably as ward councillors, we probably pick up stuff quite regularly in our own wards. You know, there's several wards represented in this committee. I think maybe what we could do is do group walkabout sort of you know, quarterly or something, where we just kind of review some of the major things that we've on the HIP and other documents we've got, just to kind of see how, if things are deteriorating, if there's anything more major, and maybe do it that way. And each quarter we could do a ward. Could be something like that. So we don't give ourselves a lot of work to do on top of our probably ward walks that we do anyway. So that's only something I thought about, but I'm easy either way, really, to be honest, because I think we're all picking up stuff quite well.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders.
Yeah, I think I broadly agree with Councillor Williams that as ward councillors, you know, it's up to us to kind of be active and walking around and looking at what's happening in the ward, and I think we can be feeding that back if it's appropriate to this committee, where it's something that the committee can, the working group could pick up. I think we're all reasonably busy, so I think trying to set up an additional date probably doesn't make sense. I'd be quite happy to feed back as a ward councillor where there are issues.
Okay, thank you all for that. Yeah, Chris.
Very briefly, I concur with all those views. If I may try and put this politely, in my experience, when I've joined walking groups, and we're more than about 4 people, a group of 6, say, walking from time to time, very often a member of the public, local resident, will pop out, and then we split into 2, 3 different groups, and the whole idea falls apart. So the idea of councillors doing their own thing more regularly is a good thing. Yeah. Whether formal quarterly public spaces working group walkabouts are unnecessary, maybe they are. I think most of us, when we see something, we log it in.
I agree.
Okay, I mean, thank you all for that, and I think that tends to suggest let's not formalise walking group, walkabouts. Picking up on what you've said, I think what I'm going to suggest we do is try to look through. We've got these 3 documents now: the KCC Highways Improvement Plan, we've got our town-wide desirable improvements, and we got the other list that I will update you as soon as Swellborough Council update me on where they are with it. But I would particularly say the town-wide desirable improvements list is the one I would urge you to try and get out and have a look around town, walk around with it, and note things that should be on there that aren't, or things that are on there that shouldn't be. And I think that would probably be the best way forward. And then we can discuss it at each of our public spaces group meetings. So we're looking at the Faversham Town Council town-wide desirable improvements, things to amend, add, remove, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting. Yes, Chris Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad you come back to that, because Councillor Saunders raised question 24. I'm just reading down very quickly this shortened list. Thank you, Adam. And that works, I think, with the numbers being consistent. That's my view. The next one, I lost it. I had it just now. 35, Cambridge Road and School Road, in order to allow better crossing facilities for pedestrians, closing off roads to create traffic-free neighbourhood. What's that all about? The first I've heard of it, and that is quite a through route. If you close down those roads, I'm not quite sure where we're going with that one. That's an observation.
Yeah, Councillor Saunders.
Right. Okay. I mean, there is public concern about the speed of vehicles along Cambridge Road and School Road, and it's being used as a bit of a rat run to avoid Ospringe Road. There are no proposals at the moment for tackling this, but there are ideas that people have put forward. In particular, Tim Stoner, who's obviously an expert in highway design. So possible ideas would be introducing some kind of pavement on the railway side. But another proposal, which is starting to be explored through the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan, is whether there are places in the town where traffic-free neighbourhoods could be introduced. I mean, you're lucky enough to live in an area which has perhaps got that Faversham's only traffic-free neighbourhood, you know, where you can't get out of the little network of roads where you are. So it's, I think at this stage, exploring the LC WIP will start to explore whether there are any areas where that could be done. And one possibility to slow traffic and reduce traffic, Cambridge Road, School Road, would obviously be to close off the top end up towards the railway bridge as you come back onto Springe Road. But there are no proposals at the moment in relation to that. But I think it will be possibly through the LC WIP, which is, you know, something we'll need to reference in to this group's work, just like the 20's plenty enhancements will need to be referenced in. So yeah, it's something that might come along in the future.
Thank you. Adam, can I ask you just to make a slight adjustment then to the wording of line 35 and just say, consider if suitable for a low traffic neighbourhood? Just so people don't get the wrong end of the stick. Just get back to me if you've got any questions about that. Thank you. Good. So we're going to talk about this document again at our next meeting. Anything you feel as though we should be adding to the agenda or preparing for our next meeting in 2 months' time? Yeah, Alison, Councillor Reynolds.
Eddie, had a couple of conversations, actually, one with Adam yesterday, about bicycles being propped against the pump and the tree. And there were visitors taking photographs of the pump with cycles around them. And I noticed at the refinery, obviously Sadler's at the moment is empty, but they're all leaning them against that paintwork, which I'm sure when it's repainted won't go down. Is there any way we could put something where they can just slot their bicycles? I know we've got cycle racks on the sort of outskirts of it, but they don't want to leave them out of sight, I'm sure. And so I have sort of had a word with Adam. He was going to see if he could think of any way. So I don't know if he's had any ideas.
Well, I think that's the $90 million question.
Yeah.
The trouble we've got is we're never going to put up cycle racks where people want them or enough of them.
No.
Really, if we don't really want the town. I mean, from a tourist point of view, I can't imagine people taking photographs of our beautiful market square are going to want loads of cycles stacked up all over the place.
But they're there, you know.
I don't know. I haven't got a solution.
No.
Good question to ask, Alison, but I don't know the answer to it. How do we have cycle racks where people want them? I think they're in quite good locations, personally. Yeah, Councillor Saunders.
Yeah, I don't have a solution. I think the problem is that cyclists, I mean, some of them will be quite, you know, they'll have a lock with them and they'll be quite happy to lock the bike and go off and do things. But I think, and I would fall into that category. But other cyclists, you know, they're stopping, they're maybe visiting, they're stopping for a cup of coffee and they just want to leave their bike where it's visible. And I don't know if they haven't brought a lock or and so on. I mean, I think the only possible solution to that is almost to provide places to put bikes where you can stand them up and have some designated areas, but
not going to be easy.
yeah, they
is it?
wouldn't necessarily need to be places for people to lock. I mean, one of the problems I think is that, and I know Adam's explored this, I mean, there's nowhere right in the centre of the market square where you can put cycle racks, so it's problematic. I think if we had cycle racks right in the town centre, you know, it would make life easier. I don't know if I can say, I mean, possibly if, you know, we had great level of pedestrianisation, it would create more space. So it would mean that we could have more cycle racks in the centre, but there are, you know, conservation and heritage issues as well.
Yeah, no, I haven't got an idea, but I just think it doesn't, you know, it's a shame that they're being lent against things. They can't just stand. I actually do have a bicycle that has a little stand that comes, you flick out and it stays where you stand it. But I don't think bikes these days, mine's quite an old one, so I can stand my bike wherever with this little stand. But no, it's just sad when they're lent against the pumps and they're just spoiling people's photographs and things. And I don't know what would happen when Sadler's is taken over, because clearly the other side, you've probably noticed the railings has had a sign put on, do not lean your bikes against this railing, because they've painted that. So yeah, it's just needs thinking about. There must be some sort of solution, but I haven't seen one yet.
All I'm going to suggest in this,
keep our eyes open.
Well, we need to think, can we improve signage for where the cycle racks are? Because the new town map signs look really, really good, but could we make the cycle racks stand out better on those? I don't know. I'm just trying to understand why people don't use the cycle racks. It could be, as Councillor Saunders said, they haven't got a lock and don't want to leave their bike out of sight. Chris Oswald-Jones.
As a former not regular current cyclist, it's what we always do. You know, it's a bit like the white paint on the railings that it's painted white because that's what we've always done, painted it white. Or throwing bread to ducks, that's how Grandma did, that's what Mum did, you throw your bread to the duck. That's what we've always done. Bikes, dump them where you can, up against somebody, well, not causing criminal damage, but carefully. But then on the other hand, I'll make the point, I don't think we need more clutter of more signs like outside the Sun, or is it number 1 West Street? Please don't leave you, because otherwise you're going to be cluttered up with leave your bike signs. Don't want that, I don't think. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. We don't need that.
So I suggest we keep monitoring that.
Yeah, just I'd see if there is some ingenious idea.
When you're on your holidays, Councillor Reynolds, see if you can get any pictures of any good cycle racks. Suitable for the town.
I think I've seen, I don't know if they were concrete blocks or whether they were just grooved out where a wheel could just go in and the bike would stand. And I don't know where I've seen it, why, but there's something that tells me it's not a huge rack, but anyway, just keep our eyes open and see if there is anything that could, you know, be used in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much. So if anyone has got anything for the agenda, please send it through to myself. Chris. Yeah.
I'm just reverting, if I may, to the town desirable improvements. You've got item number 10 is for 12 Marketplace, about the bollard idea, which is on hold. And I personally had an objection to that because it prevents people coming through. If there's a bollard stuck between the bank and number 12 Marketplace, it would prevent people coming through with pallets and the pallet truck. And leading on from that idea is at the loading bay in the corner there, a suggestion that when delivery vehicles with a tailboard and pallets and they use a pump up, they can't get up over the curb. It needs a slight ramp in the corner there, backing onto the wall, perhaps. I mean, the ideal thing would be a drop curb, but that's expensive. But a tarmac slope to allow people at least get a pallet on a pallet truck would assist the traders who are, well, I won't go there.
No.
Chris, what I'll do, Chris, is I'll add that note to the potential town centre improvements from Swell Borough Council,
That'd be good.
and see if that could be added in a ramp to get things up onto the pavement, so it's easier to bring through to the marketplace. Good points. Thank you. Okay, unless there's any other business, I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.